In the heart of Dixie where the eagles fly, land of the brave where the bullets don't lie. We fought for our freedom with guns by our side. Red, white, and blue, our southern pride. Raise the flag high, let freedom ring from the rolling mountains to the flatlands. We sing, no one can take our rights. Our Second Amendment will defend our land. With every bullet we stand. We were born in the USA, land of the free, with guns in our hands. Will forever be Southern blood runs deep through our veins. We'll stand tall for America till the end of our days.
Well, hey there. I'm Sully, and welcome to the Gun Club. Alrighty. Hope everyone's having a wonderful evening. Sorry we're off to a little bit of a late start here, but hey, it's alright. We'll catch up. Now, tonight, going to be sort of a little change of pace. We're going to be talking a little bit about preemption or preemption laws, also known as statutory preemption. And we'll get into what that means and why it's important. Could be very important, especially if you're in a place that, well, let's just say they're not very pro-gun around you, or let's say you're in a nice, good red state, but there's some blue dots around. What do we need to do to deal with those blue dots, and what can we do in advance to prevent those blue dots from causing us problems? Because, personally, I don't dislike the blue dots. I want them to live their life, and I want them to let me live mine. However, it can get a little bit tricky sometimes, and I'll show you how it goes tonight. Now, some states have these laws, some don't. If you don't have it, well, problems can happen. So, I'm going to take right off the top South Carolina, the great state of South Carolina where I live. We have a preemption law at the state level. Pretty much what that does is it said, these are the gun laws in the state of South Carolina. No other municipality, political subdivision, or whatever can make more restrictive laws. Sounds simple. Now let's go to the other side. Place like New York does not have preemption laws. So that's how a New York State concealed carry permit is not valid in New York City. They actually have more strict requirements or different requirements than the rest of the state. You kind of see where I'm going. California does not have preemption laws. California and New York are two of the big ones I know that don't have them. So therefore, other political subdivisions, i.e., towns, villages, counties, municipalities, can come up with their own laws. Now, some people say, well, we should allow them to do this. That should be normal. That should be fine. Well, unfortunately, it's not. And I'll show you how it gets kind of crazy. But let me put it to you this way. I'm in South Carolina. We have a preemption law. So that means that the state laws are the state laws. We don't have a patchwork of laws from different towns or counties, again, villages, whatever, cities. So today I left my house and I'm in an unincorporated area of the county. I went into another county's unincorporated area, and then I was in two different cities in that county and went back to my home. Theoretically, I was under the same carry laws, the same carry permit, the same magazine requirements, basically constitutional carry all the way. They don't have each town or county, city, setting their own gun laws. Now, that's partially because the state of South Carolina has preempted it. We have a preemption law. Now, where does this come up? Well, for example, Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee, is a nice red state. They have constitutional carry. They honor the Second Amendment. Great. So, the city of Memphis, which is in Tennessee, decided that wait a minute, we may not like that whole constitutional carry thing. So Memphis has decided to put more requirements in. Now, let's say you happen to be visiting and you know that Tennessee is a constitutional carry state, so you go ahead and carry. However, in the city of Memphis, there's an ordinance that says no person shall be allowed to carry a handgun in the city of Memphis without having a valid handgun carry permit. And you say, wait a minute, Tennessee's a constitutional carry state. Yes, it is, but Memphis doesn't recognize that. What happens to you? Well, you're carrying illegally. Huh? It's constitutional carry state. Yeah, but Memphis has their own rules. That is what happens. You know, now Memphis wanted to put 3 big gun control initiatives on in the most recent election. They put them on the ballot as referendums. Said what we want to do is we want to pass these gun control laws. And Tennessee said we're a constitutional carry state. Oh, you do what you want at the state level. We're going to have our own set of rules. Now, if you went to Tennessee and had a Tennessee driver's license, no one would say you'd have to have a special license in the city of Memphis. But wait, they were trying to do that with firearms, and that's where things get ridiculous. Again, that's how New York City has a different set of rules than New York State does. But wait a minute, isn't New York City in New York State? Sounds like the tail's wagging the dog. Now, in New York, because there's no preemption law, nothing preempts or statutorily preempts the city from having their own set of rules different from what the state is. When you run into situations like this, it gets confusing, it gets difficult, it gets problematic, especially if somebody is from out of town, they can get in trouble. They end up with a court date and maybe $1,000 fine or something like that. A lot of times they'll just quickly pay the fine because it's easier to do that than try to go back to fight a court date. You were in a constitutional carry state, but not a constitutional city. What if the towns went involved with it? I mean, I grew up in a village, which was in a town, which was in a county, which is in the state of New York. How many different gun laws could I be under? Again, it's rough enough where we've got 50 states with 50 sets of rules. And then you say, well, some of them, the state rules don't apply in the cities. They have their own. So again, recently, Memphis tried to override these referendums with these referendums. Another one they wanted was no one should be allowed to carry, store, or travel with a handgun in a vehicle in the city of Memphis without a valid handgun permit. So if you happen to get pulled over in the city of Memphis and you have a gun in your vehicle, knowing that Tennessee is a constitutional carry state, yeah, you see where this goes. They also had unlawful to store a firearm, whether loaded or unloaded, or ammunition in a motor vehicle. Again, a lot of requirements. They passed all of them. So, yes, this went to court. Now, it was very interesting. When they first proposed this, state of Tennessee said, hang on, time out. We've got a preemption law. You can't do this. It's illegal. Memphis said, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. Tennessee said, there's a law that says this is the law of the land in the state. You can't change that in your city. We know you want to do your own thing, but that's against the law. The greater political subdivision, the state, said our preemptive law preempts you putting these ordinances in place. Memphis said, yeah, we're doing it anyway. We're going to tell the police to go enforce it. So, got kind of interesting. Now, there is a Tennessee state law that prohibits individual municipalities from establishing this. So, the state legislature came out and said, we're going to withhold sales tax funds from the city of Memphis as a result. So they pulled them off the ballot and then started a legal challenge. Said they wanted to run their city their way. And guess what happens? Well, a judge says, yes, you can pass these laws, these ordinances. However, you're preempted from enforcing them unless something changes and something happens to trigger them. If they ever repeal the constitutional carry, these laws will automatically snap into place. You think a lot how any state that had any kind of abortion limitations, well, as soon as the door stopped being held open by Roe, some of these things triggered various trigger laws that automatically put limits in place. The previous Roe decision had been holding that door open, but once it was no longer held open, it snapped back into place. So we go through this battle between Tennessee and the city of Memphis. Now, first off, I understand Memphis in some of it wanting people not to store firearms in a vehicle inappropriately. I get that. I understand Memphis wanting to have run their lives their way. Fine. But Memphis is in the state of Tennessee. State legislature said, we passed the gun laws around here. Now, you might think this is a crazy, isolated incident of one city council of Memphis deciding that they just wanted to be difficult. Yeah, I wish it was. Well, first off, the laws are on the books. However, they're also preempted from being enforced unless something changes. And three national gun rights organizations are currently in the process of suing Memphis over this stupidity. So is it isolated? I wish. Look at Pennsylvania. We have, again, a state level law that says these are the gun laws. The city of Philadelphia, however, says no. We're going to do our own thing. We're going to have these requirements instead of this in order to carry a firearm. Pennsylvania says no, you can't. There's actually straight verbiage in Pennsylvania state law that preempts from the state level any political subdivision or municipality from having their own laws. So what happens? Well, it went all the way to the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, and fortunately, the case was finally won, and it said, no, Philly, I know you think you're special, but you ain't that special. This is the law. The laws actually state that the state runs the gun laws, and you can't have more restrictive than what they had. Okay, so let's look at these two. Both cases, we have overall largely red states with little blue political subdivisions that want to change the law in theirs. Now, if it was a speed limit law, a noise ordinance, something like that, that's fine. When you get to the point that it's a firearm law about how and where you may carry, what happens? If you lived in Tennessee, right on the border of the city of Memphis, it may be enough to discourage you from carrying when you leave the house. What if I have to go 2 blocks into the city to find bread at the grocery store? What if I have to go just over the city limits to run an errand? Where is the exact city limit cut out? Where's the edge of it? Does that place I have to go violate that? What happens if my shooting range is in the city of Memphis and all of a sudden now I have to have a special permit to cross that line into their city? Philadelphia with Pennsylvania, the same thing. Pennsylvania, largely pretty purplish red state, definitely red recently, but the blue city of Philadelphia wanted to do what? Make their own law. And again, if a blue city wants to do that, that's fine if it's about the noise ordinance. if it's about something like that, if it's about the curfew, whatever. They want to do something crazy or wonky with building permits. Okay, that's fine. But again, we're now doing, I'm carrying this thing in my car for my safety. Oops, what are the rules over that border? It's bad enough living right on the border of North and South Carolina. I have to be somewhat well versed in gun laws on both sides because, again, case in point, South Carolina used to require a permit. We stopped when we got constitutional carry, but North Carolina still requires a permit. So if I let my South Carolina permit go, which I have no intention of doing, but if I did, I would now be allowed to carry here in South Carolina, but be illegal in North Carolina. So I keep up my South Carolina permit in a constitutional state solely for what if I cross the border? Yeah, it's getting confusing. So when I look at the big scope of things, I'm going to do one more of these. We have the city of Savannah, little blue dot, in the great state of Georgia. Georgia, again, relatively red state. Y'all might figure that out. Now, what happened? Savannah said, no, we know that there's all these rules and laws in place, and there is something straight out in Georgia that says cities don't pass gun laws. That's handled at the state level. Savannah's mayor and city council voted unanimously back in April to outlaw keeping firearms in unlocked vehicles. Penalties again, 30 days in jail, $1,000 fine. They said the law would make it harder for criminals to steal guns and showed all the stats of stolen guns. Yes, stolen guns are bad. Guns being stolen out of people's vehicles, very bad. But is it Savannah's place to pass their own gun legislation? No. Both the lawsuit and then later subsequent Attorney General letter from Georgia to the city of Savannah claims Savannah's ordinance is preempted by state law. There's a Georgia statute in place that says no county or municipal corporation shall regulate in any manner the possession, ownership, transport, or carrying of firearms. Seems pretty straight. So, from that standpoint, oh, I see Mr. Dozer's wandered into the chat. Good evening, Mr. Bill Dozer. Hope you all having a wonderful evening tonight. Again, we're sort of a little bit of a change of pace from some of the things we've been doing, but I wanted to do this because once you see how important these preemption laws are, Tennessee's preemption law stopped Memphis from requiring a permit in a constitutional carry state for their city. Philly is not constitutional carry. Kind of ironic, that's where the Constitution was written and ratified, but we won't go there. Philly basically went to court to fight to say, we know Pennsylvania has these rules, we're going to have these. Imagine the drinking age in your state was 21, but the city decided they wanted to make it 25. And so someone who's 22 goes out totally legally, buys a six-pack of beer, and is driving home, happens to cut inside that city where they're not allowed, they're not 25 yet. These preemption laws that stop cities from doing stupid stuff, what would happen if all the towns did gun control? And I will tell you, this has been something that's gone on in South Carolina. Again, we have preemption laws, but some of the small political subdivisions, the towns and cities, etc., the small ones, decide that no, these are the gun laws in their city, even though their city is contained within the state. South Carolina, again, having a preemption law. This came into account at one point dealing with some parks, some natural land. That certain village parks, they were deciding that, oh no, these areas are all going to be no gun zones. It's not done at the state level. This county can't do it. The town can't do it. So if people happen to be going to that park for whatever reason, and they see these all, no gun signs. Wait a minute, you can't do that in a park. So what's wrong? Well, they had to actually fight battles. And I know at one point the South Carolina Concealed Carry Association was supporting several questions regarding illegal restrictions that are preempted by state law. So, hold on one second. So, what does this mean for us? Okay, if you are in a largely reddish state and you have any pull with your state legislature, yes, we all know that the Constitution is the Constitution. We should have constitutional carry everywhere, reciprocity everywhere. But look at your state's laws. If you don't have a preemption law that very plainly states this, think about it. Do you want to get to a point? Because again, it's happening in multiple cities now. Some of these blue cities realize they'll never win the anti gun battle at the state level, so they reduce back. If we can win stuff at the state level, make sure you've got good preemption laws. Meaning, if we've got enough pull at the state level, they pass something at the state level to make sure that no city, no town, no county, no political subdivision herein, subject to thereof, whatever, can start putting in gun control at the city level. We've fought the gun control battle at the federal level, and we're doing good. Personally, I was kind of a fan of Matt Gaetz's plan if he had become the head of the DOJ. If you remember some time back, he came out very publicly and stated, as far as he was concerned, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms should be a chain of convenience stores in Florida. I'm on board with that. I can see that would be a good use for that logo. Yes, we sell alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and our gas is $2.99 a gallon. Heck, great, whatever. But if we don't have those laws, the preemption laws at the state level passed and in place, and that barrier there, a lot of these blue cities seem to be trying to get into the anti gun battle. And unfortunately, if you travel to or through one of these blue cities, now all of a sudden you're carrying without a license. But we don't need a license. How we do in our city? We don't want this patchwork quilt of laws to go in place because, again, we end up with the end result looking like something like New York that you can carry in the state of New York, just in certain counties in the state of New York and not in the city because they have a different one. A city or a town or a county would never try to come up with their own license plate. They said, no, it's a state by state thing. Driver's license, their own DMV, state by state thing. And this is, very much, again, an obscure legal topic, but with all these bluish cities and towns now trying to come out anti-gun and push the anti-gun, they can't win it at the state level. They're winning them, or they thought they'd win them at the level of preemption, at the level of county, and unfortunately, it's not working real well for them. So that being said, they're having to fight a little bit. Now, again, I know big change of pace, kind of a different legal topic. Definitely one I wanted to get into because in three cases, well, two of the three cases, the city level ordinance law regulation or the county ordinance law regulation has been blocked by a judge because of a preemption law. Think about your red state. If you've got blue dots, you don't want those blue dots to start trying to pass their own gun control laws. It's bad enough we fight them at the state level, but they need to get and push your representatives for, and you may already have, a preemption law. Research it. We've got 50 states. Again, New York and California, no. New York State says, yeah, these are the gun laws in New York State, but the city, you're welcome to do your own thing, even though you're within the state. Confusing, yes. Stupid beyond it. It should never have gotten this far, but whether we like it or not, it did. So that is our big lead topic for tonight. The second thing I want to discuss today is the holiday season. 'Tis she upon us again. Yes, that's right. 'Tis the season for all sorts of ho 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 and jolly little things and everybody to be merry and bright. Now, if you have somebody, and again, we see this from time to time, you want to buy a gun for someone. Maybe it's a son or daughter who just recently turned 21, they're away at college, they're coming home, and you really want them when they're traveling to have a little bit of safety. They may have, been to the range with you before, or you may intend while they're home on their Christmas break or their winter break or whatever we call it now. You may say, look, I'm going to get this person this new gun, and we're going to get some time and go out to the range with it. Your idea is admirable, wonderful, fantabulous, and great, but there's some major hiccups that may jump up your way. Let's look at it. Buying a gun. I don't know if you remember your first firearm. I remember mine, still own it. But guns that are comfortable for me are not comfortable for everyone else. The size of gun that I think I should be carrying may be different than everybody else. My point is, if you're going to get somebody or you're going to try to get someone involved with the 2A community or get them their carry permit or do something, maybe they've never shot a gun in their life, but they really want to know about it. Great. Sign them up, get them in a good class, find a good instructor, find a good range, take them to. All great ideas. But going out and buying a firearm for someone else, unless you know exactly what they want and you're very familiar and they've tried this gun somewhere, sometime else, we end up seeing a lot of really unhappy people at the end zone. Why? You know, well meaning dad got his beautiful young daughter this pistol. It's a gun. He thinks it's a great gun. Does she like it? Does it fit her hand well? Does she want something smaller, easier to conceal, or something bigger with more magazine capacity, more inertia against recoil? How well does it just fit the plain geometry of her bare paw? My hand's different than yours. Now, if you want to get someone a gun, how do we do it? Well, first off, I'd suggest going out to a range. Maybe bringing some of yours that he or she is interested in. Maybe have a couple of the kids out come to the range that day. Great. Let them try and test drive out of your collection, out of range guns, i.e., rentals at the range. All of that great starts. Blindly buying them something that you're not even sure what size to get them. But yet, firearms, we see this happen a lot. And I urge people to realize you can make a certificate or a pretty certificate and even frame it. Hey, look, here's one tip to the range, and I'll spend so and so much on a gun, or a couple trips to the range, or hey, here's free training from dear old dad, or marvelous old mom on firearms. I'm all for that. Blindly buying guns, no. Same thing with ammunition. That person, you may say, well, I know they carry 9mm. I know they've told me that. Well, are they using 124 grain or 115 grain or 147 grain? What feeds through that handgun the best? Hmm. Well, blindly buying someone something, again, it's kind of like buying shoes for your wife. Unless you know exactly what she's looking for, you'll never be right. There are too many variables. And the one thing I don't want to see is I don't want to see a well intentioned mama bear or papa bear buying their little baby bear their first firearm, and possibly the kid comes home and carries it back to school with them. Okay. What are the school laws on firearms? Beyond that, what else goes on? Well, is there a place for him or her to secure it in their dorm room safely? If there's, say, people over drinking, or is it going to be end up in the bottom of a dresser drawer wrapped in a pair of sweatpants? If that's going to happen, we've got bigger problems than getting a gun. We have them hearing from us at the police end with the switchboard at the campus, basically, hey, look, we need to find out what the gun laws are because we don't want our baby bear going back with their wonderful new gun that they tell their roommate about. And all of a sudden, their roommate tells their boyfriend, and before you know it, someone finds out who's really, really anti gun that the person you sent back with a simple, basic concealed carry handgun has got machine guns in the rooms and probably one of those AR-15 things. Because trust me, the story gets blown out of proportion. So someone goes in, looks in the kid's room, and what happens? Well, the college career is on the rocks. Again, all for it, 100% for buying people guns for Christmas, but I want it to be the gun they like in the configuration they want in whatever magazine capacity is appropriate for their use. What if they live or go to school in a 10-round capacity state and they've got that one extra magazine sitting around their range bag from the last trip to the range? Yeah, you're right. Our side of the hill, our side of the field is going to take quite a thrumping. But if we say, hey, look, I'll print a cute little certificate, it'll be for range day with dear old dad, or it'll be for, let's go get your first firearm. Go out to a range that has loaner guns, or unless you've got the same gun he or she is looking at. Now, in the past, I've had people buy, let's say, a Smith equalizer or a Smith Shield EZ. Those are the two I can think of off the top of my head. Now, in those cases, in both of them, the ladies involved had been in my classes, had been to the range with us, had used loaner guns out of the rental side. And so what happened? They knew what they were looking for. They had test driven it. We don't buy, something without trying it. So buying a gun, not a really good Christmas present. Now let's go to what are some of the really cool Christmas presents. If that person is a 2A person and they know it and they're all gung ho down that road, do they have a favorite range they go to? Going out, talking to that range about getting them a gift certificate. Or even if they've already got a membership, talk to the management at the range. If their membership is going to expire February 10th, hey, can I add another renewal on there and you give me a nice card for them and we'll add another year to their membership? Great, that's one size fits all if you know what range they go to. What else? Well, is ammunition a good Christmas gift? Well, again, what size ammunition do they carry as far as what caliber? Do they carry a 9 or is it a 10 millimeter? They said it was a 40 something. Is it a 40 or a 45? You'd hate to buy them ammunition for Christmas that they'll never use because they don't have a gun to shoot it out of. Now, again, you can hope that the DOJ or the powers that be in the legal system would sort of short circuit that and say, look, we're just going to try to leave it as well, let it go on, work from there. But if it doesn't go that way, we have problems. Folks, another thought. How about holsters? Are holsters a good Christmas gift? Well, it's sort of like with ammo. If you know what kind of firearm they carry, what size, what frame, or what magazine size, and you say, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this person a holster. Do they have a holster in that position? Is that the type of holster inside the waistband, outside the waistband, retention, no retention? Is that what they want? Guys, this is, going to be problematic because we don't know. Now, if they want a purse, say, with a firearms concealed carry pocket and a purse, that's great. I could try to go out and do this for some friend of mine and try to get her the greatest new firearms concealed carry purse in the world. What the hell do I know what makes a good purse for her or not? Or whether or not she wants inside or outside the waistband holster. Maybe she wants both, maybe she wants neither. Folks, again, I go through this because I've seen people lose a lot of money on, or I won't say lose it, but waste a lot of money on something that the end user is like, I can't carry this, it's not a retention grade, or, well, I don't really like, the loose stuff going on as far as loose magazines or loose ammo, so I'm going to get them a range bag. Well, that's great. Getting someone the greatest range bag, you go to the, gas station, you go to the gun store or online, you spend all kinds of money on a range bag. And they say, well, it doesn't have enough firearms in it or carry enough firearms for it to be any good for me. Well, there you go. You just bought a boner gift. Interesting choice of words there. But what else do we know when we talk about firearms over the holiday season? First of all, know if you've got, special events going on that affect firearm issues. Sometimes they'll say, oh, well, if you're caught in a traffic stop, it goes back to where you got picked up at. That's all well and wonderful. But if you deployed until the last fateful night and was very familiar with that dog, was fine with it, was great, was wonderful, wonderful. Are they ready for another dog yet? Is that something they want to go down that road? Yeah, dogs don't really typically make good Christmas gifts, and neither do Easter ducklings or things like that. I'm not going to try to pick on those animals or pick on the people who have them. That's more power. It's not for me. Getting me a little tiny frou frou Lhasa Apso dog wouldn't do me a lot of good. It would be a mess. Getting me a full size German Shepherd, well, I'd love it. And I do adore a beautiful Shepherd or something like that, or a Belgian Shepherd. Definitely wonderful animals. Do I have room at my house for it? Do I have the practical ability to keep up with an animal, or am I too gone to station to work all the time? So, yeah, we need to stick away from that. Ammunition, stick away from. Range time, going to the range, taking them out, hey, great. If you know they're all into a certain firearm or a caliber or whatever, let's say they want to look at a 9mm because they've heard about 9mm. Okay, great. 9mm is a very decent caliber. I'm not going to get in the stopping power debates, but they're also, the city is going to be, when that happens, looking to send out the fire to the kitchen fire or whatever else. Great. So, folks, I hope you had a good night. Hope this gives you not only some ideas what to do for the gun lover in your world. If you can find out what ammunition they prefer, if it's something special, great. Otherwise, find out their local range. Ask them, do you have a gun range you recommend? Most gun people will say, well, I love to go to here and I've got a membership there, but this one's really cool and it's outdoors, but I kind of like this one. This is my home range. If you're dealing with buying gifts for gun owners, by all means, there's some great ideas there. Another thought is you could say, look, I don't want to deal with all this with separately filling up all the. That's fine, no problem. Just, hey, find out, get them a gift card or a gift certificate. Work out a lot easier. But, alrighty, so we've talked a little bit about preemption and preemption laws, and we've talked about what to get your gun owning buddies for Christmas. And even some of your non owning buddies. Honestly, I don't know what's going on in his world, I've been very much out of the loop recently, but all right. Y'all have a wonderful night. Folks, be smart, be safe. Bye.